Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Talk Sports Show with Alec Pequignot. Today's show, I'll be going over some NFL upsets and locks I like this week, as well as more college basketball upset picks. Let's get into it. Here are my locks of the week for the NFL. My first lock of the week for the NFL is the Detroit Lions minus 7.5 against the Chicago Bears. I like this lock because I think the Lions could cover the point spread. I know Justin Fields is back, but I don't know how many points the Bears are going to score with Fields being back this week. So I like the Lions to cover and win against Chicago. This next cover is an easy one. It's the Commanders minus 9 over the Giants. The Giants don't have a QB. Tyrod Taylor's on IR. Daniel Jones is on injured reserve. So it's Tommy DeVito. And they don't have Darren Waller. So 2 out of the 3 guys they were hoping to have this year are not there right now for the Giants. So I like the Commanders minus 9 here to cover the point spread. And my last lock of the week I like is the Cowboys minus 10.5 over Carolina. I think Dallas is going to come out and they're going to put the beats on the Panthers. Carolina is terrible. Everybody's beaten Carolina this year. Carolina only has 1 win. They had a chance to get their second last week against Chicago on Thursday Night Football, but they lost to Tyson Bagent and the Bears. I like the Cowboys to cover. Now here's my upset picks. My first upset pick is the Bengals plus 3.5 over the Ravens. And the reason I'm taking this upset, I know the Bengals don't have T. Higgins, but the Ravens don't have their 2 best players. One being offensive lineman Ronnie Stanley. He is out for this game. And also out for this game is defensive back Marlon Humphrey, who is doubtful with an injury. So I like the Bengals in this situation to win and cover the plus 3.5. This next one's juicy. It's a Super Bowl rematch between the Eagles and the Chiefs. I like the Eagles plus 2.5 here to pull the upset. And like I said, I think this is going to be a very competitive, high-scoring game. I think the Eagles end up winning and pulling the upset here plus 2.5. And my last upset of the week for the NFL is the Steelers plus 1 over the Browns. And I like this upset for one big reason. The Browns do not have Deshaun Watson. He is out the rest of the season. And now my stud and dud team of the week from last week. My stud team of the week is the Denver Broncos. They went into Buffalo and beat the Buffalo Bills. And I was surprised. I had Buffalo winning that game and covering the point spread, which was minus 7. And if you watched the show last week and you took Buffalo minus 7.5, I'm sorry. I did not expect Denver to win, but they did. And they sure looked good in the win. I mean, let's just say hypothetically, if Buffalo doesn't have 12 men in the huddle and gets that illegal substitution penalty, Denver missed the field goal and Buffalo would have won. But that's neither here nor there now. Neither here nor there now. Because you've got Denver as my stud team of the week, the Broncos. After that, win in Buffalo. Now we're going to flip to the opposite end of the spectrum. My dud team of the week, the Buffalo Bills. And this is unfortunate. I was very high on the Bills this year, and it doesn't look like they're going to live up to expectations as they fired Ken Dorsey after the game and named Joe Brady the interim offensive coordinator. Buffalo, I had high hopes for you and was hoping you would do good this year, but it doesn't appear as that's going to happen. And I'm disappointed. Now we get to my college basketball upsets. My first upset for college basketball is Notre Dame plus 14.5 over Auburn. And here is the stats from Notre Dame's first two games. They beat Niagara 70-63, and they lost to Western Carolina 71-61. So, in the average games, they've averaged 70 points per game. And here's Auburn's first two games. They lost to Baylor 88-82, and then they beat Southeast Louisiana 86-71. So they average 80 points a game through the first two games. Now I've got Coastal Carolina. My second upset is there's Coastal Carolina. This is their second game of the year, and they've only played one, and it was against Piedmont, and they put up 86 points and only won by 2, 88-86. So they average 80 points per game. And you got Wichita State. Their first three games. Their first game, they beat Lipscomb 76-59. Their second game, they beat Western Kentucky 71-61. And they beat Friends University, a school in Kansas, 95-65 in their third game. So they average 70 points per game. But as I said, I like Coastal Carolina in the upset. And now we got Jackson State. Jackson State is a 10.5 point underdog here. And I like them to pull the upset. Here is their first three games. Their first game, they lost to Memphis 77-94. They've lost their first four games, but they average right around 70 points. And you'll see why I like them in the upset. Here's Tulsa's first two games. They've played Central Arkansas, which Central Arkansas is a okay team. 70-63, 70-53 was the final score. And then they played Incarnate Word, 85-71 win. So they average right around 70 to 80 points per game. And I like Jackson State, like I said, to pull the upset. And now here's my cover picks for college basketball. My first cover pick is St. John's minus 4.5 over North Texas. And here is St. John's first two games. This is their third game of the year. Their first game, they beat Stony Brook 90-74. And then their second game, they lost to Michigan 89-73. So they average 70 points per game in their first two games. So that's the first. And the reason I like them to cover, look at North Texas. They beat Northern Iowa 83-77. And then they beat Nebraska Omaha 75-64. And in those two games, they scored a combined between 70 and 80 points. And the second cover I like of this slate of college basketball is North Florida plus 1.5 over Presbyterian. North Florida is a very young team. They only returned 2 starters. They only returned 3 regulars from last year, and Chaz Lanier, Dorian James, and Oscar Berry. But they're very young. They've a couple freshmen that are really good. I like UNF to cover the +1 here. And in my last cover pick for college basketball is Central Florida -10 over Cal State Fullerton. I like UCF to cover here against Cal State Fullerton. And that does not wrap up the show. I will be sharing my screen and giving you a few more college basketball picks I like tonight. Ignore that. We need to go shoot this. The schedule. I'm going to give you some picks of teams I like to win today. So we can't do the games that are live. We can't. I'm not starting yet. Obviously, I like Cal State Bakersfield to beat St. Catherine. I like Wyoming to beat St. Louis. Dayton LSU, that is a very, very juicy, good matchup that I like. As far as who's going to win, I'm going to take Dayton to beat LSU. Northwestern State in Maine, I'm going to take Maine. Obviously, Wichita State, Coastal Carolina, you kind of already saw who I'm favoring in that game. I like Coastal to win. Rhode Island College and Brown, I'm taking Brown. SIU Edwardsville and Denver, I like SIU Edwardsville. North Greenville and the Citadel, I like the Citadel. Tennessee Tech and Midway, give me Tennessee Tech. North Florida and Presbyterian, give me UNF. Furman Liberty, this is another good game. I think there's a potential for a very high scoring game here between Liberty and Furman. I do like Liberty, however, to win. Wright State, Indiana, give me Wright State. Texas Southern, UVA. Shocker here, I'm picking Texas Southern. Louisiana Monroe, Louisiana Tech, give me Tech. Texas A&M Commerce and Texas Tech, give me Texas Tech. Alcorn State, UAB, I like UAB. North Dakota and Valley City, give me North Dakota. South Alabama and Nichols, give me South Alabama. Tulsa, Jackson State, give me Jackson State. Obviously, they're really upsets. Minnesota and Missouri, give me Minnesota. Northwest University and Idaho State, give me Idaho State. Notre Dame, Auburn, give me Notre Dame in the upset. Arizona State, UMass. Lowell, give me Arizona State. William & Mary. And Omaha, give me William & Mary. Wake Forest, Utah, give me Wake Forest. Montana and North Dakota State, give me Montana. California and Montana State, give me Cal. Hawaii and Niagara, give me Hawaii. And ladies and gentlemen, that will do it for today's show. I will probably see you back here in a little bit for Falcons franchise here on my YouTube. Please join in. Have a great rest of your day.